It mattered to me, but it didn't matter much to my teacher. I just had to find a way to get through this dilemma, to earn a gold star, a telltale sign of being good. I removed the tortured blue crayon from the Crayola box and moved it firmly along the inside of the black line. As I did so, the shadowy figures receded from the page, chased away by the presence of a prescribed shape. With the distractions fading into the background, I was free to sweep the crayon lightly back and forth until the entire circle was filled in with blue. Maybe if I colored myself in this way, I thought, everyone would start to see the same things I saw. Or, barring that, I would start to learn how to focus my attention only on what everyone else saw. I knew, at an early age, I was different, even though I didn't know why or how I was different. In school, or at home, my behavior was never what you would call normal, or straightforward, or even easy. Dressing me was a particularly arduous daily task for my mother. To avoid the scraping of clothes against my skin, I would constantly undress and stand naked in the middle of my bedroom until my mother forced me to put my clothes back on. It was unbearable and painful, and shirt tags were the worst. Getting me ready for school one morning, my mother pulled a new pink and gray striped shirt over my head. It was a gift from my grandmother. The material was heavier than the thin material I had learned to tolerate. The cloth around the collar was thicker. The seams around the sleeves were rougher on my bare skin. The tag was large, coarse, and folded over with a pinch. Even standing still, I felt it against my neck, as if a matchbook had been pressed into my collar. I began to whine and whimper. The edges of the tag against my skin felt like a hermit crab, clawing at my neck. I flailed my arms backward and desperately tugged at the shirt to pull it out. But the more I struggled, the more the hermit crab dug its claws into my flesh. My mother quickly slipped the shirt off me, asking me what happened. "The thing," was all I could say, pointing at the collar, huffing between aggravated sobs. Later, my mother cut the tags off all my shirts. I was different in other ways, too. Whenever I got excited, the feeling of exhilaration bubbled over the confines of my mind and into my body. I would flap my hands as if my very fingertips were lit Roman candles. My cousins called it bird power, and eventually came to treat it like a good luck charm, which came in handy whenever they played Nintendo and reached the final boss's lair at the end of a video game. And then there was my love of colored Fisher-Price alphabet refrigerator magnets. While nearly every child my age loved to play with these magnets, I was obsessed with them, nearly fanatical. My favorite magnets, by far, were A, E, H, and U, because their actual colors, unlike my unpleasant experiences with coloring books at school, matched their right color. The letter's inherent color only I could see. The wrong color, as far as I was concerned, was an insult to the dignity of the letter, a grave defamation of its character. When the Fisher-Price painted colors matched the colors I saw for each letter, it was as if my external and internal landscapes became aligned, and I felt a pleasant and unexpected relief, like scratching an itch I didn't know I had. To my teachers, I was the perfect student, quiet, diligent, obedient. To my classmates, however, I was a nuisance. Serious, withdrawn, weird. While they were joyous, rambunctious, normal, I was a jigsaw piece from a completely different puzzle. Every kid my age always seemed uncomfortable around me, including my brother, Rainier, who considered me a regrettable nuisance inflicted upon him, his weird, fussy, and overly concerned older brother. My parents always told me to be myself, but for some reason, being myself only got in the way of making friends. After a few minutes with me, the expression on a classmate's face usually contorted with repulsion, confusion, or worse, fear. Perhaps the reason I didn't have many friends was the fact that I was too forthcoming about wanting to hug everyone, to be touched, to be real friends. I loved hugs. Not because I was especially needy or deprived of love at home. To me, the physical act of hugging was a wholly